So Halloween is coming up tomorrow, and I thought it'd be appropriate to do a Halloween special by reviewing the 1978 version of Halloween. So I had the luxury of being able to go see this in a theater a couple days ago. And not only was the ticket really cheap, but the whole experience was great. I had a great time being able to go back to the theaters. It's great. I honestly had a very good time. I have missed going to the theaters for it seemed like over half a year now. The last film I saw was Joker back in January, and I saw that movie twice in a theater because of how good it was. And ever since COVID was a thing, theaters have been shutting down. And being able to just go see this movie, it was great. I genuinely loved it. Going to the theaters is one of my favorite things to do. Just being able to sit in a giant dark room, to look at a giant screen and just immerse yourself into what you're watching, right? I feel like I'm more immersed into films at the theater than I am watching just, a movie on my TV, right? Even though I do enjoy both. So, yeah, leaving the theater, I had a great time. It was a great experience. It felt like I was time traveling back to the 1900s to just watch a classic movie in a theater. So yeah, but anyway, let's talk about this movie. So I'll start with my negatives first, or the negatives for this film first, because I think it's good to end off on the positives. So, my main negative for this film is probably the unintentional comedy. And when I say that, what I mean by that is, the acting in this film, it's pretty bad, I'm not gonna lie. Not just by, the other supporting actors, but even by Jamie Lee Curtis and, all the other actors, it was pretty bad. So, yeah, whenever someone would die, especially the first person that died, not the girl at the beginning, but it was the car scene where this girl's in a car and Michael Myers strangles her, basically, and kills her. At that time, I felt like it was a bit funny, just the acting, because it was, the way that she was pretending to die, she was overacting way too much, to the point where, everyone, as well as me in the theater, just laughed. And even though it was funny and it was, fun just watching that, at the same time, it does kind of drag you out of the experience. It drags you out of the movie. And I didn't really like that about the film, unfortunately. Nothing felt really that realistic in terms of all these death scenes, or when Michael Myers is trying to kill someone. And I feel like if the acting was better, if it felt more realistic, it would have been just a bit better for me. So, yeah, that's the main issue with this film, and another thing I just want to bring up really quick is this such silly scene with Bob's character and Michael Myers. So the suspense leading up to that, it was suspenseful, right? And as soon as Michael Myers comes out of the closet and, holds or pins Bob to the wall, it's that feeling of like, oh shit, he's gonna kill him, right? But as soon as Michael Myers got that knife and impaled him and just nailed him to the wall with this small kitchen knife, it was so silly, because this tiny kitchen knife is just nailing him to the wall. It's holding him up. And I was in the theater, I was the first one to just burst out with laughter when I saw that, because it was so stupid, in my opinion. It was just silly, right? I mean, it was fun, obviously, because it was funny, but at the same time, it just completely, all the suspense that was leading up to that scene, it was kind of ruined with that, that sort of fake scenario that happened, in my opinion. And yeah, so that's all I have to say about that. That's my really main issue. But But yeah, but that's about it. So let's talk about the positives. So this film is pretty damn good. All right, it's pretty damn good film. I wasn't scared by it, and maybe that could be a flaw because I went in with high expectations. I didn't expect to be that scared, but I expected it to be a bit more scary. And unfortunately it wasn't, but yeah, so it wasn't scary, but it was still good. The plot was good, the characters were good. I mean, the acting wasn't that great, but the characters were still relatable to us young people. And I think a good thing the film does well is it, like, in the house, or in the whole village, I'd say, or the town, it has this atmosphere where everything feels like comfortable. It's like a Halloween night. You're out, you're talking with your friends, you're hanging out with your friends, or you're watching TV, or you're just doing all this fun stuff, right? And it just feels like just a nice Halloween night. And then Michael Myers comes in, and he just wreaks havoc and just starts killing all these people, and just ruins the night. And when it goes from that to, Michael Myers killing everyone, it made for an enjoyable experience. Obviously some of the scenes were ruined by unintentional comedy, in my opinion, but it still does a good job, with that, regardless of the acting, I guess another thing the film does well is the cinematography and the sound. It really does a good job of mixing both together, because it really, I don't know, especially with one scene where, there's a shot on Jamie Lee Curtis's character after she's, stabbed Michael Myers with the clothes hanger, and she thinks she's killed him. And if the camera focuses directly on her, but in the background it's all blurry, but through that, blur, you see Michael Myers getting up and walking over to Jamie Lee Curtis, and, that created, some suspension, right? Or some suspense. And, yeah, so I thought that, it really did well doing that. But, yeah, as well as the sound, the sound, this movie knows, like, when to add this, appropriate music and sound effects in. You get a lot of movies, especially with action movies, I feel, nowadays, where they add these sort of, especially with action scenes or fight scenes, you could, like, have no music with a fight scene and it would be great. But some people, or some filmmakers, they add all this unnecessary music to try and, bring up the suspense more. But, you don't really need that, right? Because it does feel more realistic without the sound. Now, this film does a good job, does the exact opposite, It does a great job at, putting, like, suspenseful music in scenes, right? When Michael Myers is chasing someone. But when he's killing someone, they don't put scenes in because it feels real, since there's no music, right? And I thought the film did a really good job at doing that, And, yeah, I guess, let's talk about Michael Myers. So, after watching the movie, I was a bit disappointed with Michael Myers' character, because I felt as if he had no motivation. But looking at reviews online and discussing about the film in a club that I'm in on Facebook, which is, Film Club, shout out to that club. It's a really good club. A lot of people were, giving me different perspectives on viewing that character. It's not that he really needs motivation, It's sort of like he's just the embodiment of, like, evil and horror and, slasher, right? I mean, he's just this evil character, and he's evil for no reason, right? You don't understand his motives really, but you just know that he's just this, like, really evil guy, right? And you don't see the psychology behind that, but, instead of viewing that as just being, like, kind of bland, you can see it as being, like pretty scary at the same time, Um, and it's like he's as well as he's unable to get killed, I guess, because Jamie Lee Curtis tries to kill him, as well as Dr. Loomis, I think his name was, actually shoots him, and Michael Myers falls off the balcony, but it turns out he's still alive and he's still out there. So he's just this big mystery, Michael Myers. And looking at that perspective, I think if I watch the film a second time, I'd probably enjoy it more. So yeah, I was gonna take a point off for that, but I'm not anymore, because seeing it in a different light, it actually is fairly interesting. So yeah, that's about all I have to say for this movie, or about this movie. It's it does a really good job at cinematography and sound. The acting is pretty atrocious, but it's it's not too distracting. It can be at times, but as long as the characters are written well, it's not too bad. Michael Myers he's a good villain, a horror villain. He's not the best, I'd say. I still think there's, better villains out there than him. But yeah, the only issue I really had with this film was that it's unintentionally funny at times, where, a lot of people in the theater were just laughing. And, including me. Like I said, it was hard to, hold my laughter in. And it kind of brought me out of the experience, unfortunately. But other than that, this film's a fun time. That's a good way to describe this film. It's just fun. Just a fun film. So, yeah. I'm going to give Halloween 1978 a 9 out of 10. So, yeah, there you have it. That's my review of Halloween. Very good movie. I'm sure everyone's seen it at this point. I forgot to give a spoiler warning, so I'll just give it in the title. But yeah, Halloween's tomorrow, isn't it? It's gonna be interesting this year because of coronavirus. Not people aren't gonna go to parties, or the ones that do are just kind of dumb, because it's like the worst thing you can do in a pandemic. But me personally, I'm just gonna celebrate Halloween by watching just a scary movie. I'm going to watch what is it? It Chapter 2. That's the film I'm watching. And yeah, it's going to be a good time. I can't wait to watch that. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you thought of the movie. I hope you all have a great Halloween tomorrow. And yeah, I will see you in the next video. And yeah, take care.